that job anyway? See why you just don't quit.
Because I want to fit in.
We are back. Welcome to the channel. Hope everybody's doing well. Today I'm going to go over 2 films that have consistently been in my top 5 of all time. Now, one of these films moves around depending on how I'm feeling, but it's always consistently in that top 5. However, the other one has been number 1 for over 20 years. I'm pretty sure the thumbnail gave it up already, but the film that juggles around is going to be American Psycho, and number 1 is Fight Club. And I know what you're thinking, okay, not another YouTube video going over American Psycho and Fight Club, but I'm going to hit it from a different perspective. In some of my videos, I like to personalize things and illustrate how it affects me as a person, and there may be someone out there that feels the exact same way. So hopefully they find this video and, they can relate. Now, before I dive into it, I do want to get the elephant out of the room and address some of the negative connotations that are associated with these films. I'm aware of the toxic masculinity aspects of the films. I'm aware of the narcissism, especially when it comes down to American Psycho. But for me, I've never looked at the films in that light. I've always looked at it as these films are a gateway to how you are going to live your life as a person, and I'll explain that in this video. American Psycho is a film that has shown me how desperate people are to fit in, while Fight Club is a film that has shown me how necessary it is for people to let go. Upon analyzing the character Patrick Bateman in American Psycho, he is clearly a person who is obsessed with his image. He has to have the perfect hair, the perfect body, the perfect watch, the perfect business card. And when these things don't go his way, we start to see his thoughts and feelings manifest on the screen into something more sinister. The same can be said about Jack in Fight Club, however, it's just presented in a completely different way. The dark side of Patrick Bateman is all presented in one vessel, and he has enough money to where he gets to wear the image that he'd like the world to see him in. This inner thinking is what helps propel the ambiguity of his actions. Did he or did he not commit these murders? Jack is projecting outward, so the image that he has created for himself comes in the form of Tyler Durden. This outward projection translates into his actions being grounded in reality. However, the inner thinking of Patrick Bateman is all grounded in fantasy. We're left to ponder this question at the end of the film. I lean on the side of it all being in his head. Although the image of Patrick Bateman is centered around perfection, we do get glimpses of his true perception amongst his peers.
Evelyn, great ass. Goes out with that loser Patrick Bateman. What a dork.
Bateman is such a dork. Such a boring, spineless lightweight.
This driving force of acceptance ultimately leads to his insanity. We see Jack in Fight Club playing a similar game, however, he's starting to get to the tail end of seeing any meaning in all of this. He fills his condo with IKEA decor because this is what successful people are supposed to do. This is what society has deemed as normal. So he conjures up Tyler Durden to help him understand that this is all for naught. That perfect body that Patrick Bateman longs for is no longer idolized.
That what a man looks like?
Although Patrick Bateman doesn't have the status, he likes to give people the idea that he has access to upscale restaurants such as Dorsia.
But is it possible to reserve a table for 2 at 8 or 8:30 perhaps?
If he were ever to get into Dorsia, I imagine that he would enjoy the mushroom cream soup that Tyler Durden lends his contribution to.
You get the idea.
In order to let go, Tyler Durden acknowledges that the majority of the people walking the earth are the all-dancing, all-singing crap of the world. In contrast, Patrick Bateman likes to show that he is in tune with the Billboard charts in order to fit in. However, he has no connection with that same artist's previous work if it's deemed to be too outside of the box. In short, if the Billboard charts don't tell him to like it, then he won't. This is the exact opposite of what Tyler is showing to Jack. His philosophy is that conformity is too heavily weighed on humanity and should be abandoned. As people, I believe that we have the right to express ourselves as individuals as opposed to trying to fit inside this box that's driven by commercialism. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that I'm on board with going balls deep into anarchy, but I am on board with Tyler when it comes down to challenging what society has deemed as acceptable. The older I've gotten, the more I've realized that Tyler Durden's philosophy reigns true. Like the things you own end up owning you, or it's only after you've lost everything that you're free to do anything. Tyler Durden is undoubtedly one of my favorite characters of all time. So much so that I've even adopted some of his philosophies inside of my own personal life. Not to the extreme of starting fistfights in bars and blowing up buildings, but definitely understanding how commercialism is distributed to play on our insecurities in order for us to buy into it. And as cynical as that sounds, it's a sad truth. The illusion of success is always way more attractive than the reality. Patrick Bateman is successful, but amongst his peers, there's nothing unique or interesting about him that separates him from the pack. We see in multiple scenes that he's either being mistaken as another person or vice versa.
Well, then let's do it, Marcus. Great party.
Thanks. Patrick, why is he calling you Marcus?
In his world, your contributions turn you into no one, whereas in Fight Club, your contributions gives you a name.
His name is
With hot topics such as mental health and get rich quick plaguing our society today, it further heightens the importance that these two films play in my life. With the turn of every corner or the swipe of every phone, it's in our faces constantly. I feel fortunate that I was able to view these films at a very young age. They came out at a time when films started to become very impressionable on me. And although I'm more on the side of letting go as opposed to fitting in, I would be lying if I say I hadn't fallen victim at some point in my life before. But with having these two films in mind, it has always given me an opportunity to self-identify and take a step back. And that's most likely why these two films have been able to maintain their position in my top 5 for the last 20 years, and will most likely continue to be in my top 5 for the foreseeable future. Live the life you want to live and don't succumb to the pressure. Because right now, we're all being raised to believe that one day we all be influencers, internet memes, and cryptocurrency gurus. But most likely, you won't. Peace.